Always. Get her. Call her off. Get those women there. Get them. Get them. So anyway.
He was my rebel.
So what ended up happening in a nutshell is that they kind of delayed it quite a while. They made us wait. We started with about 10 of us. We ended up with about 5 of us present by the time we speak like a pillar. So they brought it up. Glenn, of course, was all in. Kate went along. She said if the board supports it, she said any county but Monterey, I would oppose 303. But there's a message that needs to be sent from Monterey. So I'm good with this if we go. Then it went over to Wendy. And Wendy, it was Occam's razor, she flopped the wrong way. She didn't have enough. I'm going to talk to her. We're going to get this square. I think that she's brilliant. But she didn't, I don't think she had enough information to feel she could make an informed decision. So she ended up saying, well, let's send a letter. And I just think that if she had a chance to get more up to speed, she probably would have, I think she would have gone along, and I think that's where she's going to get. So what they ended up deciding is that, and then the 2 guys were just, no. So we need 3 out of the 5. So I think what's going to happen is that, so they voted to support Laird's bill, which of course is very inadequate in a variety of ways. And then in terms of her bill, what they decided is that they're going to table it for a month, and they'll come back. And after she's had a chance, the argument was they haven't really had a chance to finalize what the bill looks like, which she's in negotiation with the committee. So once that's resolved, they feel like in a month they can revisit it, and the goal would be by then to have a vote that would get support also for that bill. And then the idea is, if we support both as the impacted community, then hopefully the legislature will take it up and approve both. We don't know. But if they do, then it goes to reconciliation. And that's where they combine, hopefully, the best. They don't water it down, but who knows? There's several steps.
So the county said we want to revisit this?
Yes, in a month they're going to revisit it. Right now they reserved whether or not to support or not support. So, or oppose. They're not opposed, they're not ready to support, and their reason is they need to have it get fleshed out.
I saw most of it. I just needed to be my advisor.
That's why they went. So we'll just, we'll see what happens.
Okay, cool.
There'll be conversations and whatnot, but I was really happy that Kate made that decision to be there because she didn't have to do that. That was really good. So, and Glenn fought really hard to try and get as much as he could to get something on the record, but in the end they just said we gotta wait. So.
I thought Glenn's comments were great.
They were. He really,
glad to be there.
Glenn is really trying very hard to keep this present and to get the right things happening. So he's really working hard.
I was surprised that electricians spoke up.
I'm not. No, they're all in with Laird. He brought them in. He brought in the labor and he brought in the firefighters. And so he's got, Laird's packaged this as interest groups, but not the community, right? So the problem is that where's the community in this? Don's is more about how do I protect my community? And somebody said it really well. They said, Don's bill is more local and Laird's is more state. But still, John just continues to not engage the community, and I think it's because he feels that if he did that, he has to admit that there's a fault and a failure at the heart of this technology. And so they're just running away from it. And that's what they're doing.
That's what it seems like.
They are. So that's why we're here today. All right, so here's why we're here today. First off, to admire the gorgeous photographs that Matt has been taking out in this room. Matt, they're beautiful.
Thank you very much.
And I love how you got your little space. You just stay right there, everything will be fine. All right?
Put it around the table.
Right there, that's the spot.
Put it around the table.
Awesome. Awesome. Bring it on out. So look, we're here today because John Laird has a bill submitted, and it's good. It's lacking in many ways. It's not a clear. I think John Laird has been absent from our community, and I think the reason for that is because to admit that our community has been impacted would mean that he has to admit that there's a problem with the tank. And batteries are at the heart of this, right? Batteries are at the heart of this. If you're going to extract all this energy from the rooftops during the day, then it's got to go somewhere so it's there at night. But here's the racket, guys. What that plant's been doing is they've been buying the electricity during the day when it's cheap, and they sell it for a huge markup at night when it's expensive, right? So they're just making tons of profit. And that's the racket. And who's paying for that? We are. So John has not engaged. I met with him about 6 weeks ago. He said he was working behind the scenes. I said, we are watching. And other than a couple of newsletters, he's really been silent. And every time he talks, he says, right now the technology is 75-25. What does that mean? 75% of the plants are the new tech, which by the way still burns. And 25% are what burned over there, just not as big. So what he's really saying is that, well, the 25% there, okay, but we're really good because we've got 75%, we're going to keep going, right? The commitment is there to the tech, and I understand, but the tech is flawed, as we know. We've been impacted by it. And now they want to do them in Santa Cruz, right? So, and they're going to say it's in a container, and it's new stuff, and the new stuff is less volatile. But at the same time, when it burns, it's going to mess those neighborhoods up bad. So what we're here today to do is to make a little bit of noise. I know that's not necessarily what we all are used to doing. We're making some, well, you are. We're going to make some noise. I am. I know some of you guys are. Yeah, right? So we're going to make some noise, and we're just going to let people, we're going to let, we did this in Santa Cruz about 3 weeks ago. I don't know what will happen, but we're going to make noise, okay? We got Emily here, just by the way. Emily is filming a documentary of all of this. Thank you. Dude, I forgot your name.
Wes.
Wes is here because you've got an online podcast?
YouTube channel.
YouTube channel, exactly. I can't keep track of all
That's
these
fine,
things,
don't
right?
worry about it.
So Wes is here for his YouTube channel.
That's where I went to college.
Does anybody have anything else to say? So,
What's the YouTube channel?
It's called John Doe 13K. 2 words, I'll give you a card.
And what's the topic?
Anything helpful and positive, civic, social, environmental, justice oriented. So
Your type of podcast.
just any kind of protest.
Thank you.
Especially this kind of style of issue. It's about human rights. Yeah.
so before we get started, one more thing I want to do is, and we're going to be here for about 45 minutes and then we'll bug out. Everyone's got stuff to do. If you have to leave early, that's fine. But what I did want to say is that tomorrow in Prunedale at the Grange, we are going to be gathering, right? And that is going to be community focused. It's not going to be about me standing up and telling you what's happened. It's not going to be about any authorities being there to talk to us. It's about the community talking to each other about what we've been through, okay? So that's tomorrow, starts at 6 till 8:30 at the Prunedale Grange if you want to be there, or spread the word. It's all over our Facebook groups, and it's also on the website now. And the website, if you haven't been, www.neveragainmosslanding.org, okay? So here's what I'd like to suggest. First off, before we get this started, anybody have anything to add, any questions?
Is John Laird going to be here?
No, John's never here. John's gone, okay? Right, John's gone. Where's Laird? John's gone. So look, I've got a bullhorn, and there'll be a call out and response here a couple of times, right? And it's really simple, I just did it. I'll go, where's Laird? And what do you guys say?
John's gone.
John's gone. And we're gonna do that quite a bit, and that's the noise we're gonna make. There are other noises we can make, and if anybody wants to talk, you can have that bullhorn, okay?
And I'm going to go over and see if his aide will come out and talk to us.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. This is Sam and Joe for 100 Brick Media. They have been on this story. They're national. They were one of the very first national voices to come in and cover the story out of the East Coast. They flew back to be here.
Thank you.
They brought in a law firm and some resources to learn about this. Feel free to talk to them. I was with them all morning. They're sharp guys. They care about this. They're here to help us, all right? So they're from the #1 media that's been really covering this on our behalf, and they're still covering it. So these are good guys, all right? Thank you, guys.
I got a question before we go.
Yes.
Have you been, I feel like the aquarium people or Imbari or Moss Landing type fishery people should, ideally, are you connected with them, inviting them
They're
to these type of
stovepiped. They're stovepiped. They know what we're doing. They're doing their own thing.
Okay.
And so there's stuff going on there, but they're scientists, and they're all focusing on their own issues, trying to talk to each other. It's amazing how stovepiped the scientists can be. 1, 2, 3. Where's Laird?
John's gone.
Where's Laird?
John's gone.
Where's Laird?
John's gone.
Where's Laird?
John's gone.
John Laird has abandoned our community right when we need him most. The Moss Landing power plant burn threw out up to 5,000 tons of toxic metals into our community. That is the equivalent, let's just say, of 150 big rigs of vaporized heavy metals that we breathe in. John knows it, we've talked to him, and he's running away from this because it would be clear that this fire is a threat to our decarbonization. Many of us support decarbonization, but not if it's going to poison us. Where's Laird?
John's gone!
Where's Laird?
John's gone!
Where is Laird?
John's gone!
John Laird is gone, and we need him. We need him in our community. We need the resources he can bring. We have not seen toxicologists. We've not seen environmental groups. We have not seen any effort to provide relief financially to the people who are so sick. Where's Laird?
John's gone!
Thank you. Raise your voices, friends. Come on, shake them signs. I'm figuring out where John's office is. It's right up there.
Check their code!
99 Pacific Street. You just don't know the street. Good. All right, 3 are coming down, guys. Put up your signs.
Say hey! Ho ho!
Toxic waste has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho ho! Toxic waste has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho ho! Toxic waste has got to go!
Hey hey! Ho ho!
Toxic waste has got to go!
I'll say, you know, John.
Some noise!
He's got his bill. He worked for the fire folks.
We are very familiar with
I know he
the
worked.
bill.
I know he worked for the fire folks. I know he worked with the labor unions, but he hasn't worked for the community. And when I met with him 6 weeks ago at Supervisor John Glenn Church's office, who I speak to regularly, he said he's working behind the scenes, and I know that that's his position, but he's not here. I've read the newsletters. He's not here in the community. All I want you to do is say, John, these people are still
Toxic waste is got to go!
bring resources. There's been no disaster assistance to people that are being facing medical bills. There are a lot of people moving out of their houses. He should know these things. It's his district, right? There's all kinds of things that are happening to people. Health effects. It's all on the Facebook pages. If you want to go there, there's the Vistra symptoms page and there's the Monterey disaster page. It's all there. Thank you for being aware of it. So at the end of the day, all of this is happening in this community, and John is not doing it. He started by meeting with Kim. I was with Kim this morning over at the Health Center Audit at Friends. Kim said she's very disappointed, and he said that was it. Sent out his initial newsletter, his initial response about 3 weeks after it happened, and it said, I met with Kim, everything, you know, I'm sorry this happened. Now I know it's his position, he's very committed to his tech. We want to see decarbonization also, right? We want to see that. We're not opposed to it. But the idea is that the tech is not working. Batteries at the heart of this are a problem, and if they continue to be put up, even in
Get all the signs in a
the
row.
new tech is going to burn too. It's more stable. You're probably familiar with the issue. It's more stable, but if it does burn, it's going to spread greater toxicity. It'll be in shipping containers, so it won't be like Lost Landing, but it'll still mess up those neighborhoods.
But on top of that, I need to put this. Those shipping containers are vented. So that doesn't mean that the toxicity is going to be contained within that shipping container.
And if it is, it could explode.
Right. So it has to be vented. So again, you're poisoning the people. And we've been called complainers by John Laird.
He did, yeah.
We're complaining because there is no help for us. We're complaining because our community and many, many others are being poisoned. We were guinea pigs, and it's not working out well. This technology should not be allowed, until they know how to contain it, should not be allowed anywhere near people, food supplies, animals, the ocean. It's pretty simple.
They know how to contain it, they just don't want to spend the money.
No,
It reduces profit and their investors lose money.
but they can't control it.
They can prevent it.
He says we're at 75% new tech and 25% old. And what he's saying is that the new tech is in the containers and it's the new thing. Okay, that's great. It is safe. We don't know if it's safe enough because there are facilities that are burning and exploding with that new tech. But here's the important thing. What I want to hear John say is, what he's going to do about the 25%? He has the power to get involved in this and address the 25%. And he should be telling our community what he's doing to try and help these folks. That's all, right? And my view, and it's just my view, is that he hasn't figured out how to reconcile, how to thread the needle, and it can be threaded between we're committed to the tech, and we need to see this tech for our decarbonization by the 2045, but at the same time we have to recognize what happened because of the signature plant and it burning and whatever these things are. And I believe that can be reconciled. I told him that 6 weeks ago, or 8 weeks ago. And I just don't see it happen. It's just moving away from it. And I also told him, I said, John, for all the work you've done, this is your legacy. And this is going to be the final chapter. And we're here 90 days later. We haven't gone away. So if that's what he thinks is going to happen, this is going to be. So, thank you. I can answer, Tanya can answer questions. We're co-organizers and never again. You know, we're asking for help. We're protesting because we don't feel it's coming. We're asking for help.
All we've asked for. I don't believe it goes far enough. It is pushing everything towards fire. That bill is talking about fire. The fire isn't the problem. NFPA, yes. NFP 855. Yay! So we are having those facilities live up to NFPA 855, but that does nothing about the toxicity that is released when there is a fire. The toxicity that is sitting there now, that every time the wind comes up, it continues to blow into the air. I live 2 miles from the plant. You can tell when the wind comes up. The taste, the metallic taste is spectacular.
And it represents presence. It represents ongoing presence.
Exactly. And what is happening to my animals? What is happening to my livestock? What is happening to my well water?
The state's not here. They're not helping you.
No one is helping in a complete disaster. Sure, the LA fires happened at the same time. But that doesn't negate what happened to us. And with those legislators that are supposed to be representing we, the people, and they're not coming out to even speak with us. What harm would a town hall be that John Laird put on a town hall so he could listen to our concerns, our problems, whatnot? But no, he has not done that. He has not reached out to the community. And we're a pretty big community, especially if you see how far, if you go on
Royal Oaks, Prunedale, up to Romas, biggest impacts.
Right.
And I'm the one that did the 124 samples you guys have heard about. And the numbers are there.
So it's big. This is not 1,200 people in Moss Landing. That is not what it is. This is a lot more people than that. And it's basically worldwide because the same problem is happening everywhere else. You'd think that he would like to step up and talk to the people. We don't see that. We don't hear anything from him. Nothing.
And on this bill, you asked about the bill. So on the bill, well, it's really simple. Actually, very simple. First off, overall, he hasn't talked about it. So this is inputs from labor unions, and it's inputs from the firefighters. Okay, that's what we brought in. He's in Sacramento, it's a different focus than your local, but he can still bring it up. But he hasn't. Let's talk about what can be done. First off, the state's put almost 100% of the responsibility on the industry. These very powerful companies, very wealthy companies, Vistra's a $50 billion company that was born out of a utility bankruptcy. They come in, they're the third owner of the plant. They come in and say everything's under control, right? We've got all of this backup. They went to the county planning commission, because that's as high as this thing went, with paper from the state that all the boxes were checked, saying, look, the state's all for this. It's green. Wow, you're going to get some taxes, and we're in control. And the worst case scenario is going to be one rat burning. The county didn't have the resources. Did you see them drive in and drive out 5 minutes later that night? The site's been monitored by a private fire company that's briefing our fire chief for the North County every day. That's great, but we're not in there. Our community's not in there, right? The company's not releasing any data. And every time that something like this happens, Brad Watson gets up and says everything's fine. Look at, we got numbers from south part of Santa Cruz County. We got the 7 samples from the Monterey County. And then we even talk about what we found, which is all done on the chain of custody, and which has been validated by Dr. Aiello as being valid numbers. Okay? So what I would do specifically, the state needs to assert some control over this industry. Okay? Here's what that could look like. Why is this industry putting drones on site that can measure the air above in real time? You know when these things burn, and we talk about hexafluorine, which the AP came in to check, they put on ground motors. This stuff's lighted in the air, goes up 2,000 to 3,000 feet, hits the marine layer, converts into hydrochloric and hydrofluoric acids, and goes away. And they're not testing for that, and it's not blanketing the machines. That's why they're saying nothing to see here.
So you're saying require drones to be in the
on site, owned by the company with independent control. They pay for it, and if there's a fire at any of these facilities, this should be industry-wide. Those drones go up and tell the community what's going in the air. That's simple. That's and they pay for it. They're making billions of dollars off this technology. They can do that.
Would the local fire departments operate the drone?
I don't know. Figure it out. You know, find an independent source. And by the way, number 2, why are we 3 months into this and we haven't heard a peep out of the company? They're doing testing. They're not releasing anything. Where's the independent testing? Where's the attempt by the state or anybody else that say, this came out of here, this is what we're finding? Silence, crickets. And he can write that so that can happen. Think about this. We have airports all over this country that maintain full-time fire departments in the event of a plane going down. And in most instances that never happens, right? But they're there ready to go if it does. Why is this industry in a position to put up a massive plant like this and have no resources that they have to pay for to be able to, if this thing does start to take off? Why is it that they're the only ones doing the monitoring and there's no independent agency checking behind them? Why is it that we don't have access to their records of whether or not they're overcharging and then dissipating these batteries beyond spec? There's a 20% variance in what's allowed. They're supposed to charge between 30 and 80% only, so the batteries don't start breaking down. Do we know, does Senator Laird know whether or not they were overcharging? Guess what? The industry has allowed a 20% variance. So now you're at 96% charging. This private corporation is paying their shareholders, which is our system. And if you've got 100% capacity and you're only allowed to use 50%, maybe you're overcharging and over-dissipating, which then breaks these batteries. There are all kinds of things that can be done. If anybody at John's office takes the time to learn about it, that could further control potential abuses. I'm not saying they occurred. I'm saying the potential is there, and we've handed all this over to private industry.
So you've said a lot of different things.
Yes, I have.
One of them that you mentioned was the fire department. So are you saying that there should be some kind of requirement 24/7 that fire is on?
Yes, we've got them at airports, and the impacts at an airport are a couple hundred people dying if a plane goes down, which is a horrible thing. We have hundreds and hundreds of people with medical issues because of this. It dwarfs anything that would happen if a plane went down at one of the airports. Why the hell is that there for the industry? And I don't care if it's Moss Landing or it's 3 locker boxes set up across from Aptos High School. You should have a drone there, paid for the industry. You should have the capability for independent response immediately, or pay for the engines and pay for the training to make sure that that can happen immediately from the local fire department. The fact that North County Fire went in there and drove away 5 minutes later or left while the cameras were rolling. It was there in the background. I was sitting there next to my wife. I said, he just left. And it was less than 5 minutes. And that's because they had no capacity. This bill, which says up front, well, we're going to have the fire guys involved. Great, fire guys and gals involved. But okay, that's done. Now where is the ongoing responsibility for making sure that we have the ability to respond if it does get out of control? These things experience thermal runaway, even the new ones do. The other thing is, there is new tech coming online that is non-toxic. or much, much lower toxicity. Who's talking about that? Is there anybody at the state? John could be telling us. He could say, hey guys, here's what's going on with the new tech. We're looking into it. We'll keep you posted. Crickets, guys. Look, he's a good man. In my opinion, he's kind of off his game a little bit. This is a big deal. This is a big deal, and he knows it. And his commitment to the technology, in my view, is causing him to not engage with the consequences of what was happening. And we
Do you
need
check
him.
his newsletters?
I do. I
Do you
read
see
them.
his website?
Yes. So there's 2 or 3 sentences in there saying, "I feel your pain." That is different.
Have you seen his video?
I've seen his video. I'm checking everything online that I've seen. But if you look, I know. Look, you work for him. Oh, look. Go look at what that actually means. Take what's here and what's happened here with these people, and there are hundreds of people that are doing this. This is the middle of the day. But take that and compare it with his words. Now I know behind the scenes he's working, but where is the disaster? Where's the disaster declaration? And I know it's not his decision only, but every time he talks, I've heard him talk at economic development over here. Every time he talks, he says, I have a direct line to the governor's office. I haven't seen those. So if he wants to take credit for that direct line, he needs to get here with those resources. He always claims he has.
What event did you say that he said he had a direct line?
What is it? There's the economic development group, Monterey Bay Regional. So it's the volunteer group. I've been to several. They do an annual conference. I don't have it off the top of my head. I've been working 15-hour days for the last 3 months. I'm sorry, but I've heard him speak there twice. Right? He's like one of the headliners. And I appreciate that. So I expected that when I met with him, when Tony and I met with him, he'd say, yeah, that's what we hoped out of that meeting. So yes, the bill does something, like Tanya says, it does something. It doesn't include our community, and it doesn't provide for anything that happens if these things burn.
Well, how would the legislation include your community? What are you suggesting there?
Well, he could come in, he could spend the time doing some town halls, he could hear, which is important for a legislator, to hear from the people that have been affected by a catastrophe, a disaster. He could tell us what resources he's going to try and bring to
Oh,
us.
so you're not talking about, I thought you were saying the legislation could say something.
Well, he wrote legislation, and yes, it could. It could include some of these things. If he talked to the community, he'd find out these things that might be worth putting in the legislation. Now, I'm not saying he can get it done. I'm not saying this is in the realm of practical. I understand John's got a lot of experience going way back to the early 80s. He understands the realm of what can be done, the realm of the possible, right? You hear that when you study politics. What is the realm of the possible? I understand he's up against that. But we're not seeing, what we're seeing is erring on the other side, which is this is maybe impossible, so I'm not getting involved. You know, that's what it looks like. Help John understand his constituents need to hear from him. We need him to tell us what he's doing about this. Yes, he'll get yelled at. He told me he's got thick skin. I do too. That's fine. I can handle it. He hasn't done that. So when we talk about what he's writing, you guys are here in the office writing this stuff up. Great. He's not here. He's not talking.
Well, we're in touch with Glenn Church.
We're completely transparent and open.
All
She
the
has
time.
our legislation.
As, yes,
We immediately released 124 samples of results.
Has she offered to host a town
If you haven't
hall?
seen them, you should.
No.
I've
Okay.
probably looked at them as carefully as I can.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But bottom line is, if you look at, I don't know if you looked at it this way, they're sorted by distance. You look at Carmel Valley, you look at Davenport, and you look up in Gilroy, or I know we have Fremont, I'm not going to freaking Gilroy. What you'll see is that those parts per billion baseline from these surface wipes are generally running from about 1/2 to 5 parts per billion. And that in the zone where the greatest fallout occurs, you're looking at 100 to 600 parts per billion. Now, does that mean those people got dose with toxins? I can't prove that, but the number is huge. The other thing is that because the temperature is higher, that's a thermal runaway, it vaporizes those metals. If you look at the research, once that goes into your body, it's centering in your body. It doesn't pass through. When they're nanoparticles, which is what we're talking about, it stays, and in 10 to 20 years, some people are going to get real cancer from this. Where's the accountability? I know the law firms are going to come in, and they're going to do what they do. But we need to stick to it. John, he's our governor.
I know that the Tri-County Health Survey was done. Not finalized.
Yes.
They closed last month, and so we are still waiting for their report. I'm assuming you all filled those out as well. Right?
Yeah,
I think,
absolutely, of course.
I know the State Department of Public Health, I think, was associated with that survey, so they will be looking at that too.
Yes,
as we talk
absolutely.
about health implications.
I
and
thought
what
it
the
was.
next steps
I thought it was a good survey. and it's needed. It came out 2 months after the fire, right? You know, when the health department's waiting, here's a good example. So about 2 weeks into this, the deputy director of the Monterey Health Department, I can't remember her name right now, very nice gal, she's sitting there in Castroville, next to John and next to the fire chief, sorry, not John, and next to the fire chief and next to Marnie Flagg, I think's her name, from environmental health. They're all sitting there and they're trying to tell us what's going on. The goal was to talk to the Hispanic community, but they've all disappeared for obvious reasons, right? So they're not really there. But we're doing a presentation. Because what's going on in Washington, the threats of illegal folks here in the they're not showing up on this even though they're doing it.
I mean, they're showing up to know your rights forms, though. They're good.
Well, good. If you can, send me the people who are organizing those because we're trying to find
The
how
County
to
of
get
Monterey
access.
is setting all of those immigration routes.
Great. So to the degree
Well,
that those
but are
folks
they,
are there.
they're sending them all that stuff. Is it getting to them? If they're not here,
Right.
it doesn't make any difference.
We're trying. So
Yeah.
any resource you can provide that allows us to talk to the people who are organizing, we'd love to, right? But we've been trying to find access to those folks so that we can help them understand a little more about what's happening. So I think back to the point I was trying to make, if I didn't lose the track. I'm very passionate. Sometimes you do.
Where's John? John is gone! Where's John? John is gone! Where's John?
Prior to that, we were on something that I was trying to make a point.
John?
And
John is
it's gone.
gone!
That's what happened.
Where's John? John is gone! Where's John? John is
No, that was before. Don't worry about it.
Where's John?
Tanya, anything you want to add? I've talked their ear off. They've been very kind to listen.
No, I do thank you guys. Let me tell you this specifically. Thank you for coming down here and listening to us.
Where's John?
Whereas the gentleman in Santa Cruz, when we did this, took no notes, asked no questions, and brushed us off.
He's like a 24-year-old guy
I
who had
don't
the
care.
job for less than a month.
I don't care how old he is.
Right.
I actually told him, as he was standing there with a notepad and pen, would you please take these notes down? Nothing. So that
I think in
reflects
his
back
fairness,
to,
he was intimidated by the situation.
again,
You can imagine what it would be like. It's
not when I was 24 years old, I wouldn't have been intimidated. I'd have been taking notes. He works for the public.
Right, and he has a great memory. And after the fact, we got a full report. So
That's,
he may not have been taking
and
notes, but he has a
I did
great
tell
brain.
him that if if you can remember everything that we've said, I'm very impressed. But you're just blowing us off. And what he told you, I would love to hear to see if he got it correct. I don't know.
I think we heard.
No, you guys, no, thank you, because you were engaging with us also. You were asking us questions about what you thought, what we thought, rather. That makes a big difference.
And I do want, if possible, we don't have to pass up, but to just leave these. It's a fact sheet about the bill. It does provide a little bit more information. I know you have spoken about inspections, so the CPC will be
I'll leave you alone. Oh, it's your turn.
Don't get me started on the
But
CPC.
no worries. But again, here's just a little bit more information about the bill. It's being supported so far by the Board of Supervisors for Monterey and San Bruno. I can't speak to the other bill, but I know that we're working on this to make sure that as it moves forward, we make it
yes.
safe.
We will have these at our meeting tomorrow night too.
And you can also find that on our website. It's in the resources section. We have a Mossland resources section.
Yeah, I
and
go
an
to
SB 283 section, and it'll link you all to the county websites.
Perfect. No, thank you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to talk to some of the other members and just see what their perspective
Absolutely.
is. And
Absolutely.
and if they're willing to talk, we would. I don't.
Well, just
Excellent.
I just want to
this
talk
way.
to them like a human,
Yeah.
not with a camera
Oh.
behind my back.
Well, it's not. I mean, you are working right now. You're gathering information for the office. You're an agent of the. So you're working.
I'm super comfortable with the camera. I just don't know the people that I'd be walking up to are. So.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in this group would be. Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, go talk to anybody.
Protect our coast! That's how we want them. You really want to protect our
consequences of this disaster. We need state help because of the Moss Landing fire. Where is Laird?
John is gone!
Brian and his wife sold their house. We were just protesting Senator Laird's office.
So yeah, I think you're right. That
Which is right there.
wind was blowing.
And just letting people know about our organization.
Instead of on St. Park Road.
No one
Does that mean we have to pay?
Some of us step forward and some don't. Some find the niche.
As long as we don't destroy anything and take all our stuff away, we should be fine.
Just curious.
It's about
Yeah, I was there that day. I was out directing traffic and doing evacuation.
We have a town hall tomorrow night at the Grange in Ferndale. It's for the community. We've been driving this, we as the core group, it's 5 of us from the original core group, and driving the meetings and whatnot, and we thought that it's time for the community to tell us what they want, what their concerns are, and where they want us to go from here. So if you'd like to show up, it's at the Grange in Ferndale at 6 o'clock. I would love for you to be there, just to hear what this has done to the environment.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.